Is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Oh man, those earnings were fun. Those earnings got fun. Not a lot of upsets. I don't think there was any really. I think Goldman Sachs was a little bit weak. Apple looked pretty decent again. The only problem with Apple is we already ran up into the earnings, but we had some good moves on DraftKings. Some of the other names that got beat up, Carvana, we're going to look at today. Coinbase had some good earnings. So there's a lot happening in the market. But again, mostly the companies that have reported during this previous run up, they're not feeling as much of the gains as probably some people might like. But we'll get into all that. Hope you guys are doing absolutely incredible. We got Alex in the house. Good morning to Andy, Bill, Brian, Carrie is with us. Good morning, Christopher. We got Eric Fayaz, Fabrice, Franco, all the way from Mexico. Good morning to Greg G, Jay, Josh, Mark, Marcus, Martina. We got Ray in the house. Good morning to Rick, Ron, Tanya, Tony. We got all my peeps in YouTube land. We got Richard Jett, Daniel, Scott Wentz. Good morning, all the people hanging out, lurking in the back of YouTube. Good morning to all of you. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe buttons if you have not already done so. Woo, let's go. Let's see. We definitely got a gap and go on the overall market. So we drew this one. I don't know, this little fib. We drew this one. I would say probably, I don't know if it's the afternoon room or the room previous before that, but either way, that takes us to the decent little bounce off the 38% retracement. So, okay, hanging in there, just a little bit of a pullback. There was 3 days in a row that was bearish. We do have a gap and go. The question is, how sustainable is this gap and go? So for me to kind of figure that out, I'm going to have to bring this fib in a little bit. We're going to measure just that last down move. So just the last down move, and I got to bring this one out a little bit more or down a little bit more because I think we got to 417 and change-ish. All right. And then I got to just reverse the entire thing. It's like science. I knew I was good at science. I don't care what the teacher told me. All right. This gives us a little bit of a better view as to where this thing could carry today. So we are at extremely, extremely decent resistance at open 408.07. The next stop is 409.09. That's going to take us to the 618. That'd be quite the place to close at the end of the week. Not sure if we get there or not. I still think, as of right now, we are bullish, but we're going to have to watch somewhere around those zones. And when I say bullish, I'm talking longer term picture, right? So I'm talking like we got some double tops, we got some resistance. I don't see this big crash coming quite yet. None of the earnings are reflecting it. Not one single company is really reflecting it. Well, I shouldn't say one single. There's probably a couple out there, a handful that questionable, but you're still making higher highs, higher lows. The last little pivot. So this is the one that everyone's now going to be looking at. Technically, on these pivots, we did not get as high as that last one. So technically, this would be our first almost lower low, but we're just consolidating in a tighter range at this point. And two outcomes come from this, and this is kind of why we just did that little fib action. But we're staying in here. We're staying in here, right? The longer we stay in here, I think the more opportunity we have for this in reality. But we don't know which way this thing is going to break. Nobody can tell you. So I think that, okay, gap and go. We probably got a little enthusiasm. We're definitely in the channel, but coming into that zone right around here, right around where we're opening now, if we could open above that 408.07, that could give us a little burst of energy up to the 409.09 zone. And we'll see. We'll see how this one plays out. But That would be a good spot to reject. If we start breaking, holding, okay, the next spot we have to look at is here. And if we're looking back at the tops again, this is not only the one, that would be 1, 2, 3, but that's also 4. And I think we go out a little bit further as well. And 5 over here, 6. So we have a bunch of times over here. Every time we're getting up there, is volume decreasing or increasing? That's the next thing I really have to look at for this. And I'll just use the latest candles on this. Volume there. This candle, volume is here. This candle was met with a little bit more resistance. So I don't know, kind of choppy. If this volume went down a little bit, that would be a clearer sign to me that it's very easy to break this, right? Just because every time you get up there, there's less and less volume, meaning that the bears are fading away a little bit. But we were met with some decent resistance. So this is going to be an interesting next. Today is probably going to be whatever. Probably leaves us guessing right in that 5618 zone would be my understanding of what happens here. But the next couple weeks, the next week or two should be interesting. I think we probably stay in the zone a little bit. Again, on that first fib from this zone down here all the way to the top, which was somewhere up here, that would take us, that this is only a 38% retracement, and we could still see this fade start to come down, and maybe we start hitting that 50% retracement. So I don't know. It is still very questionable in this zone. I don't want to get too bullish. I don't want to get too bearish. And I'm still leaning in the bullish camp, right? I could see this though pulling back, going bearish before we go bullish. So one more retest to a bigger 50% retracement. Everyone bear out there is feeling great. And then we get that reversal and we start making our way to that 431 on the SPY. So still more bullish than bearish until I'm seeing something out there that will tell me not, and I don't see it yet. So pullbacks are fine. It doesn't mean we're bearish. It just means buy the dip. We still have now this little double bottom right here that we've just been hanging out of that 38% retracement. So if we break it, the bulls are going to panic a little bit. Bears are going to celebrate. But the question is, on this longer picture, can we hold up? Can we stay within that 5618 of that bigger move? If we can, all right, awesome. We're still buying the dips. If not, it's going to get a little bit scary to the downside. So for today, though, gap and go makes it tough to short things. But just keep in mind, we are into a little bit of resistance. So I don't think it's going to be as easy of a day as we might think, but we'll see. And I have to go to some individual names probably to find maybe some stocks that have some decent momentum, because not everything does look the same today. CJ's in the house. What's up, CJ? We got Larry in YouTube land. Good morning. David Cooks. Good morning. And a day. I know I'm going to butcher this. I want to say Mira. I want to say it, but it doesn't mean it's right. Q, same thing. We got a little bit of a gap and go. Albert, good morning. We got Wendy in the house. What is up? All right, we got 3 down days in a row. Now we're gapping above. The next, at least, bigger VPOC somewhere around 319.32. It's possible to get there. We also have this one over here, which I think will also give us some resistance as well. So 319.03 to 319.42 is where we might stall out a little bit. If that starts to break, then we're probably looking at some of these higher levels, which the next one's almost 320, just under it. And the next one after that is 321. So how important is this gap and go? I think it's decent, but every time we get up there, we are getting smacked down. And I think pretty obviously on the charts, the bulls would be a little terrified of it. The bears know it's there. Time to bring it home if we do get back up there. So we'll see. All right, let's take a look at some of the names. DraftKings is the first one, and it wasn't even by Rock that requested it. it's because Rock's already watching. He's like, it's just going 100, obviously. Really, really good gap on the king of drafts right into Kentucky Derby weekend. The sport that everybody likes to bet on that has no idea what horses do or how they act, but people like to throw their money. They're like, you know what? I worked 40 hours a week. I'm going to throw it all on Betsy the horse. DraftKings, really, really, really nice gap. Again, we are clobbering a whole bunch of everything. Man, Rock was asking for $23.50 yesterday. It gave him $24.35. That auction really went off well. Not a lot of really any volume in this area, so it has room to go. Let's see if we can get a little pullback. I know that's not what Rock wants to hear, but let's see if we can get that pullback to 23.62. That would be some kind of maybe a retest spot. Some people might want to take some profits. It was down there for a very long time, gave opportunities for people to get in, and maybe this is a good opportunity for people to take some of that profit, ring the register. But otherwise, yeah, I don't see at this point why the next stop won't be 26.19, and then right up to that 27.57 was kind of the mark that I was looking at past that, or yesterday. Otherwise, after that, we got a small little move to 30.90. Try to make your case to 100, Rock. 34.85. Next one, 37.45. All of that, not really anything happening there. So the next real big one, 27.57. That's probably where I'll sell some cover calls. If we get to 27.57, I'll probably look to sell the, I don't know, see if I can get like the $31. I don't know if there's going to be much premium on it, but that's around the zone, $30 maybe. Otherwise, really not a lot happening in that zone once we pass that 27.57 mark. So that's going to be our real resistance on it. Day trade wise, again, if we could get that, damn, and then the next one is all the way back to $44.73. I like this one. But again, really, really good gap. It's up a decent amount. As we saw, Shopify just ran all day yesterday. See if we can get that red candle. We can take a break. So if we can see that same candle set up, I sold a little too soon on that Shopify yesterday, so let's try not to do that today. But Shop was up 18%. And I was like, it is a lot. And then 2.5 minutes later, 28%. You're like, okay, hot dog. But yeah, so it looks good. Let's see if we can get that same candle set up, and I will continue to go bullish on this thing, especially if we get that little bit of a pullback first. Any idea why Tesla just dumped all pre-market gains? It's just Tesla. Did Elon tweet something? Kind of looks like it's just holding up. Let's see. Where is pre-market? So this is where we're at right now. That looks like maybe a fat finger. Fat finger Freddy came in. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of back. Yep, just one candle. CJ wants to look at Apple. Apple was interesting. Let's take a look real quick at the daily chart. Let's see where this gap is leading us to. So pretty nice gap of $5. We are also up above all VPOCs if we could stay there. The next one is not going to be till not much of anything in the way. Really not a lot of anything. So the next VPOC takes us probably to about 71.81 and 72.07. So somewhere in that zone will be the next. And then we're probably looking at 74.15. So for every bear out there, just be careful. Be careful. Hector's in the house. What's up, Hector? But yeah, so earnings were good. Everything, I mean, they beat on every front. Earnings per share, they beat on revenue. They did a $90 billion buyback program. Again, I kind of disagree with that one, but everything else, I mean, stable. They got tons of revenue coming in. Sales look good. There wasn't much to hate on it. The only thing, obviously, that we would say is, look, we ran up So it's not like a big monster gap where it's up $20 or anything like that. This is Apple. $5 on Apple is really strong. So you got to go with the charts, not your hearts. And this is taking you above any of those VPOCs. Give me 1 second, team. All right, awesome. That's a really, really nice gap on Apple. We are definitely trapping any of the bulls, saying this thing's too high. Is this one going to be a big, huge runner today after it already had a $5 move? I'd have to question that. And again, even my targets say, okay, maybe another $2 to the higher side before we hit some kind of resistance. Does it have to stop there? Absolutely not. I mean, this market's kind of wild. It just does its own thing. So I just don't know how much more we're going to get out of this thing. And again, they were good earnings, but we're up a lot. We're up a lot. Doesn't mean it can't go much more. Looking at all-time highs, we're very close to it. It takes us to about 183. So at this point, about $13 to the high side before we're like, oh, Apple's at all-time highs. So much for the stop buybacks. Hector says, I disagree too. I want more shares at 100. You might have to wait a minute. You might have to wait or start your own Wall Street Bets account and just start pumping some false narratives. But all right, let's take a look real quick at Dash was also requested. Dash, I believe, has a decent short float. We'll get to my favorite short float, but I think it's gone too much already for me, but maybe not. We'll see. Dash short floats 5.4%, so not that crazy. It's a little to the high side, but not as much as I was expecting, to be honest. But this one should be a little bit of a potential retest gap. We are gapping above a good moving average, so we'll see what happens. But maybe we get that little slight pullback. Your targets on this one for the day would probably be about 67.08, so about $1.50 to the higher side. So if you get a little bit better risk to reward, and I'm not sure where that would be. Should we play it off of that moving average, or can it come down a little bit further? I'd rather, but also not at the same time. With like a $64.08 entry. That gives me very, very solid risk to reward. So we'll see. But then again, if we do get filled there, now we have to fight that moving average again to get right back up there. But pretty decent gap on DoorDash. I think, did they turn profitable? No, not yet, but they did beat earnings per share by 29%, and revenue is up, surprise beat of 5%. You're covering a lot of things in this one. Let's add it relatively high on the list. And then we'll see where volume comes in. So my biggest fear is targets again. That's going to take us to, I think the high end of this thing would be about $69, which if we could get there, that's a good day trade. Well, we're going to watch it. We'll have to see what that first opening candle is. Let's see. Do we have any pre-market resistance? We do. It's a little bit choppy in terms of volume, but I think your break would be right about here. So here's your current VPOC. At least you are making higher moves on that VPOC. This is your first little down move. You're probably going to want to attempt maybe like a 65, 62 to get in, and I would throw some kind of stop perhaps at 64.36. So it's roughly about $1.20. You need this thing to move about $2.40 for 2 hours. And that would take you to 67.60, 68.20, which is not bad. It's not bad. We'll come back to it. We'll see if there's anything else that is a little bit better. Win says LMND keeps going. It's up 20% on earnings. Yeah, earnings were the other day, wasn't it? It's hard to play continue. I mean, it's not hard, but it kind of is. You are at resistance. So we hit that resistance. We're starting to have another moving average down. Like you said, this is up 28%. I would like a day to chill out on this one, pull back a little bit, and then maybe we could take a break. Otherwise, I think you're going to start having some people take some kind of profits in here. But we didn't close the VPOC from yesterday higher than the previous pivots. So that's still going to act as a little bit of resistance. And 1491 would probably be your next kind of target. So you're starting to run into maybe some resistance where if we could get some people to take profits and then make another push. But that is a good breakout. It is nice. I think there might be some other additional stocks to focus on, at least in the morning, and then just wait to see if that thing could pull back a little bit as opposed to jumping in after something's been up 20%. AMD. Nice bullish engulfing candle yesterday. Obviously, they have good news. That news is already starting to fade a little bit. See if you get a little pop down to like $84. If we get $84, that would look like a decent attempt to buy. But the one thing, and we pointed this out in the afternoon room, there was that little bit of a gap over there. Yesterday with that news pop, we did cover the gap. We probably trapped some people just playing that news, and they're like, all right, that's it. Partner with Microsoft. I own it forever. And they got kind of trapped on this one. So they might be feeling a certain kind of way, but you're at a decent location to look to buy this thing. So some kind of a retest right in the zone where it's at now, to about $84. That's roughly, I can even see 83.70. So 83.70 would be where I'm looking for. That would give you the best price. My stop would be right below those tweezers. If this thing is going to hold, it shouldn't break that. We'll move AMD a little bit higher on the list, but I do want to see a little bit more selling out of the gate on this one, if I could get it. Or if I see it during the day, a decent setup to go bullish, I'll take a shot on it. Just because we should have, as long as I could get a good trade on it and get my stops as close to probably $81 as possible, would make sense. Hired ChatGPT to do some deep fakes on Apple. Yeah, but Apple owns all of them, so they programmed it already to not do that. It's very tough. You're gonna have to design your own ChatGPT. They don't bash companies, big companies themselves. And actually, all of the information on ChatGPT only goes to 2021, so none of it would actually be relevant as well. Meta did have a nice breakdown. Obviously, pretty clear gap fill ahead of us. I would continue to look at this thing bullish. We are gapping up today, slightly inside day candle, and yeah, I would like to see us get back at least to about 236.79. If not, maybe even a little bit higher, 237.87. But regardless, I would still look at some kind of a continued breakdown. You're going to have these moving averages come in. So I don't think this gap fill is going to be the easiest one to fill. I don't think it's going to be continuous 6 days in a row to get down there. But if we get some kind of a short higher, it's probably worth the shot to try it, but it's going to be stubborn, I think. When he says NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been a challenge. I'll play this one every day for some reason, I feel like. But 3 days down, you're gapping above to slightly at the high of yesterday. Also, the low, the opening price from that big green candle, you're probably going to be met with some potential resistance. And you have this 279.33 at the top. So quite honestly, I'm probably going to try to stay away. I say that. I'm going to try to stay away, but we'll see. We'll see if I end up trading it. It's just I think there's going to be some other opportunities that might pay out and be a smoother sailing ride. We only have 5 minutes left. How'd that happen? Jeremy has a trade posted on Tesla. He's taking Yeah, I kind of like it bullish. Let me just mark this up on the chart to 162.57. Bullish. We were talking about this in the afternoon room. Almost set an official swing trade on this thing too. Did not. We do have one set up. Chewy, I think. And he's taking 160. 160, 96. So this is your stop. Let's see what he's basing this off of. Let's go to a 5-minute charts. So, yep, he wants a little pullback. I'm not sure if he's in and if he caught that. So he might be in already. Not sure when he actually set this thing up. But, yep, a little bit of a pullback. That looks good. Yeah, I like that trade a lot. Looks solid. And realistically, I think 176 is my zone to short. If I'm going to try to short. So I want this thing to go bullish so I could get in. Lift, LYFT. Did I miss Snow and Carvana? Nope. You didn't miss it. I missed it. We didn't cover it yet. We got 3 minutes. All right, cool. Yep. So lift is down. I would actually look to almost fade this thing higher. It's got a couple levels of support. See if we get down a little bit lower, somewhere around 893. So if we get to about 893, that would look good. That's where we're going to probably dig our feet into the ground and try to carry this one back up a little bit higher. But yeah, looks decent. I don't think the earnings were as great. Surprise beat, actually. Let's look Carvana. Let's do power round. We got 2 minutes left. Carvana has a 56% short float, so I think this one could get some continuation. We got that squeeze, but Carvana is going to go pretty high on the list for today. It is up a lot. It's one of those that's up a lot, and then you look at it at the end of the day, you're like, why does that go so much? It's got a huge short float. We do have a lot of potential to carry this one further down the line, even though it seems outrageous and absurd. But if we could get a little pullback, that'd be great. I will be looking bullish on that one throughout the day. Snow had that breakout candle yesterday. As I told you guys in the afternoon room, I've got weak hands, so I've managed to get some calls in there. Sold yesterday, kind of at the highs, which is good. Not really doing anything too pre-market-ish. I was just up a lot and was kind of getting nervous about the Apple earnings. So I didn't want the market to crash and give it back, so I locked the gains in. But if this one comes back, it's got to come back a significant amount more. So down to 151.87 is where I'd start considering trying to go long again. So I do want to pull back on Snow. Yum typically doesn't move too much, but let's see if they have earnings or anything crazy. Very similar probably to the rest of the market. So you do have that gap up. You got that 10 EMA right in your face. And you're also going to be met with some resistance. I think this one fades before you go long, or I don't know if this one's going to be a long at all, but I think this is a fade at open and either continues or moves to a little bit higher. We will see. Let's go Shopify. I got 9 seconds. Shopify, slight little gap up inside day, probably nothing too crazy out of the gate. We got Apple already. Let's take a look at the farm. There's the bell. I didn't make it in time. All right. We do have Chewy set up, so we'll see if we get filled on that one. And spot. This one looks decent for potential long. We got to get through this 933. That should take us up to 977. But everybody out in YouTube land, you guys are absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, the bell is ringing. I'm in overtime hours, but it's about to be the weekend, so I'll have plenty of time to rest. So not a bad thing at all. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there in the market, and we'll